Welcome to the Safe Money Retirement Show with certified financial fiduciary, Tim Wood.
Let's sit down and make an actual plan, and we have definitely got to factor in that retirement danger zone. I wish to God someone had sat down and done that with my dad. We wish we would have known about these things.
Tim is a retirement and income planning expert, best-selling author, and the founder of SafeMoneyRetirement.com. Tim focuses on wealth management, retirement income, tax and long-term care planning, and so much more.
Today is your opportunity to build the tomorrow you want. You've got an 87% chance of success. Well, son, that's a 13% chance of failure.
And now, the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim Wood.
And we welcome you in to this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show. Alongside Tim Wood, he's the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement. My name's Kevin McAlpin. Tim and I so happy to have you with us on the show, and we got a lot of great stuff to get to on this weekend's program. Coming up in just a few moments, we've got a very special guest joining the show as Tim has a chance to sit down with Tracy Kendall Wilson. Now, she's the regional director of Alzheimer's Tennessee. It's a great conversation you won't want to miss. But first things first, we say hello to the man of the hour and my buddy Tim Wood. Tim, it is always great to be with you. You're back from the Bahamas. You've got a nice glow to you. It looks like you had an enjoyable couple of days down there, didn't you?
We absolutely did. It was great to get together with other members of the team and just have some time away with the families. And yeah, it was great. It's always great to get away, but you know, being someone that is kind of single-minded as I am, as I'm away, I'm thinking of all the things I should be doing. You know how that is. When you're away, you're like, oh my gosh, I should be doing this. I should be doing this and all that. But yeah, it was fantastic to get away and spend some time, but I'm glad to be back.
Next time I'm hitching a ride with you. Sound good?
Let's go.
Well, listen, man, we want to dive right into it because we have a very special guest joining the program here today. I know very recently you had an opportunity to sit down with Tracy Kendall Wilson. Now, she's the regional director of Alzheimer's Tennessee. Give our listeners a preview because this is just a real short snippet of what was an over hour-long conversation. Something we'll continue to air on the show in future weeks, but let our listeners know what they can expect from the interview here.
Absolutely. She's fantastic. The real quick snippet is she was the person that actually helped Melissa and I get through my father passing. She was our direct liaison with Alzheimer's Tennessee. So I worked with her personally, but she is just a wealth of knowledge. This interaction and this discussion, man, it is so important because everybody, I don't know if there's a listener out there that doesn't have someone they know that's affected with dementia or Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. We all know someone. It might be in our family. It might be a friend's family. It might be someone at church or whatever. We all know people that are affected with this, and it's something that everyone needs to prepare for and know what the options are. And I just want to mention real quick, if anyone listening wants to hear the entire interview, it is up on YouTube right now. Just go to YouTube and then search the little @ Safe Money Retirement. It'll pull up our webpage, our landing page on YouTube, and you can see the whole interview right there. So feel free to see the whole interview, but hey, here's a piece of it right now. Enjoy. Welcome to this special edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show. We are very blessed to have Tracy Kendall Wilson, the Northeast Tennessee Regional Director for Alzheimer's Tennessee, with us today. She's a certified dementia practitioner, serves on the advisory board for the area's Agency on Aging and Disabilities, and she was on the governor's first Alzheimer's task force, and she's been doing this type of work for 27 years. Tracy, thank you so much for being here.
I thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I think this is going to give people a lot of really great information and help them. A little bit of personal background. Tracy was actually involved in all of the situation I had with my father. A lot of my listeners know my father passed earlier this year from dementia, went really fast, and she was directly connected with Melissa and I and my mom and the whole situation and helped us through it. So she's been absolutely fantastic, and we're very lucky, like I said, to have her with us because I think that she's going to have a lot of wisdom that's going to be able to help a lot of you with questions because it's really important. I mean, everyone hopes they don't get dementia, but some statistics right now are showing that more than 5 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's and more than 120,000 just here in my home state of Tennessee. So it's something that's going to affect, if it doesn't affect you, chances are pretty good it's going to affect someone in your family. So having this information and knowing what to look for and all of those kind of things, we're going to go through a whole bunch of that in this. So again, thank you, Tracy. Really, really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
So let's just start with what led you to start working with Alzheimer's Tennessee. What got you into all of this?
So my grandmother was my first experience with a dementia-like illness back in the late 70s, early 80s. Of course, they didn't call it all of the time Alzheimer's disease, but looking back, they labeled it as senility. But with all of the knowledge that I have now, she had Alzheimer's disease for sure, which of course, it was discovered in 1906. So it very well could have been labeled Alzheimer's disease back then, but for whatever reason, it wasn't. And so I always say, embarrassingly, a couple of the interactions that I had with her as a child were less than stellar. So I think that sort of fueled the passion of wanting to help people later. And of course, now being a little bit older than a child, several other family members have been affected by various subtypes of cognitive issue.
And Melissa, for those of you that don't know, my wife, Melissa, she also has her mother passed from dementia. Do you want to tell that story really quick?
Yeah, Mom had started showing signs of being forgetful and wandering, and we moved her into assisted living, and she was then diagnosed with dementia-type Alzheimer's. And so she lived for about 5 years with it before she passed from Alzheimer's itself. It was awful to watch. I mean, I think my grandmother, her mother, probably had it. She was forgetful and things, so they called her senile. You know, they call old people crazy senile. I think it might have run in the family because my aunt passed away and had dementia. I've watched at least 2 of my maternal family suffer and basically pass away from it.
Yeah. My grandmother as well, my dad's mom. I never knew my dad's dad. He passed from smoking and cancer when he was young. But my dad's mom, same thing. They called her senile. She was just crazy and did crazy things. So same thing. But my dad's brother died from it. And my dad's sister right now, my aunt, has got it so bad that literally just last weekend, my cousin put her in a memory care facility. She's declining fast.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think you bring up a really good point. In the past, it was a little worse, a little more common, I guess I should say, than it is now, but it still does happen quite often, unfortunately, of people thinking that older people just become forgetful to the point that it affects their daily life, and that isn't normal. One of the biggest myths about cognitive issue is it's a normal part of aging, and that definitely is not true, but you both, sort of bring that point to light, and the fact that it is still a widely held belief, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I deal with clients all the time, sometimes in their 80s. And I've actually got a couple clients in their 90s that are still completely 100% with it.
Right. That's why it should tell everyone that it isn't a normal part of aging.
Yeah. So what type of services does Alzheimer's Tennessee provide? What do you guys do? I mean, I kind of know because we've been through it, but for the listeners, what kind of services are out there that you guys, and, if they're in Michigan or California or wherever they're listening, what kind of services are out there that they can get that would help the situation?
I think it is entirely based. The answer is going to sound a little nuts, but it truly does depend on the need of the person. I think that just realizing there is an organization out there that you can connect with, you're still going to drive the boat. You are still in control of all, but can help you through some questions that perhaps the medical community doesn't have time to answer. And that is not any negative shade thrown toward the medical community, but we know, especially in our region, we have so many people moving here that the medical community is overworked and we're at a disadvantage with the number of providers. And so it might be something that you're burning, wanting go, but it doesn't fit within the time frame allotted for your appointment. So it can be very basic questions. It can also be direction to a provider that might be a little more understanding or be able to get to the bottom of what is truly going on. We have support group meetings, both in person and virtual. There are some people that just aren't ready to come forward yet, which is disheartening. We want to make sure that they feel support. And while we're somewhat hesitant to talk about it, then we can't get the full support that we would normally be able to. But trying to get them to that point, we provide home visits with education and consultation. Sometimes those things are exactly the same thing you can do over the phone, but people feel more comfortable sitting down in front of someone and talking through things. Family meetings and sort of wrangling together, very seldom does a large family all have the same idea about what's going on or what can be expected? So I think just getting everyone in the same room cordially and sort of facilitating.
Hopefully, right? That's the plan.
Now I've been involved in some. I'm from Carter County and initially a Yankee, so very little scares me. But we have had some situations where we've had to get a family to that point. Advocacy, we provide research funding, you name it, and there's probably something that will fit into what a family needs.
And one of the big things that helped my situation specifically is caregivers and getting caregivers. So without going into too much personal detail, basically, my mother wanted to completely take care of Dad. And I get that. And I appreciate that. They'd been together for, 800 years. So I totally get that she wanted to take care of him. But there comes a point, no matter how strong you are and no matter how much you want to take care of someone, there comes a point where you need some help.
Most definitely. I feel like people see it as giving up or kind of throwing up a white flag.
Right.
And what I try to say is that if you think about all of the jobs that people are compensated for that go into being a caregiver. So you're an attorney, you're a CNA, you're a personal errand runner, you are a professional shopper. You have so many roles that are uncompensated and you also didn't receive the training for them. So why should you expect yourself, just because you love this person, that you're capable of doing all of the jobs? Your relationship is totally separate from a role. So it's getting people to understand that.
Well, Tim, it's a great conversation that you had with Tracy Kendall Wilson. Again, our listeners, set a reminder. We will continue to air snippets of this interview. But again, for those folks, Tim, who want to hear the entire conversation, let's remind them where they can get that one more time.
Yeah, the easiest place is Safe Money Retirement at Safe Money Retirement on YouTube, or you can always just go to the Facebook page for Safe Money Retirement. It's on our Facebook page as well. There's a link right there. But the easiest place, again, YouTube, just do at Safe Money Retirement. You can get that. You can also get snippets from every single show that Kevin and I do because we're posting every 2 or 3 days on YouTube. So there's a ton of stuff there if you haven't ever been there.
Again, Safe Money Retirement. Look it up on YouTube. You can hear the entire conversation. And again, we will continue to air pieces of the sit-down Tim had recently with Tracy Kendall Wilson, Regional Director of Alzheimer's Tennessee. And Tim, that kind of leads us into something we've been incorporating into the show here recently, some listener-submitted questions for those folks who want to get involved in the show but might not want to pick up the phone to do so. Info at Safe Money Retirement is how they can submit their questions. And I know you have a really interesting one for this week concerning retirement plans and if they're conscious or unconscious. Go ahead and explain that one to me.
Yeah, I got an email and someone was saying that they heard someone online talking about this conscious versus unconscious retirement planning and what the heck does that mean? All that means, well, first of all, that's someone trying to sound fancy. Number one, all right? Let's just be real. But what that really means is a conscious retirement plan is something that you are getting out in front of. You're being proactive. You're consciously making a plan. It's what you hear me preach every single week. We need to consciously make sure you've got enough income. We need to consciously make sure that the money that you don't want to lose in the next market crash is protected. We need to consciously make sure that you've got a long-term long-term care plan in place. We need to consciously make sure that you're passing the legacy you want to pass. All these things, we're doing it consciously. That's a conscious retirement plan. You want to know what an unconscious retirement plan is? That's that IFCOM that you've heard Kevin and I talk about. That is, let's just hope that we have enough money to make it, babe. You know, let's save as much as we can, and then we'll just live off of that the rest of our lives. Really? That's an unconscious plan, and you better just hope you don't outlive it, or you better hope there's not another market crash, or you better hope neither one of you gets sick, or you better hope neither one of you needs long-term care. I mean, we could keep going on and on, but that's what that's what he's talking about, or she. I'm not trying to say, but whoever that person was, that's what they were talking about is conscious versus unconscious is making a plan. Y'all hear me preach this every single week. It's so important to make a plan. You can't be unconscious in retirement. You've got to make a plan, and you've got to know what that plan is. That's why I sit down and do a fact finder with every single client, and it's a holistic plan. We look at everything, and we make sure we have a conscious plan for your retirement. We're not going to just let it be unconscious IFCOM and hope that you've made enough, or, like you've heard you and I say before, okay, well, my advisor said I've got a 94.5% chance of success. Okay, well, that means you've got a 5.5% chance of failure, son. We need to make sure you get to 100%. You're not just leaving it up to chance.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is leave your financial future up to chance. And if you are trying to determine, is my plan conscious or unconscious? Well, let's make sure it is wide awake. Let's make sure it's a conscious retirement plan. And if you'd like to learn more, it all starts with one simple phone call to Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement. You want to learn more? You want to get on his calendar? It all starts with one simple phone call, 800-913-SAFE. Again, it's 800-913-7233. Or online anytime at safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. All right, when Tim and I return, you've heard a lot about these Trump retirement accounts, but let's separate fact from fiction when we continue. And we'll get to that plus more as we continue with this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show, coming up right after this.
Hey, it's Glenn Beck. Do you still have all of your retirement money at risk in the market? Most know that I don't do that. It's way too dangerous, in my opinion, at least. The fact the market could fall off a cliff tomorrow, yet many don't have an expert you can trust. Let me tell you about Tim Wood. Now, he's the owner of Safe Money Retirement. That's a certified financial fiduciary and a best-selling author. I met Tim personally, and I can tell you that he and his team can help you plan your own guaranteed lifetime income streams to cover you and your spouse and grow your money while protecting it from a market crash. Go to safemoneyretirement.com/Beck or call 800-913-SAFE to schedule a no-obligation free 15-minute discovery call with Tim. You know I just don't trust anyone, and so do your own homework with Tim at safemoneyretirement.com/Beck and book your free discovery call with Tim online or call 800-913-SAFE and get started today.
Welcome back into the Safe Money Retirement Show alongside Tim Wood, the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement. My name is Kevin McAlpin. Tim and I so glad to have you with us on the show. We hope you're having a wonderful day. We're so glad you found us. And if it's your first time being with us on the show, we're certainly glad to have you. Of course, we know we have a lot of loyal listeners who are with us each and every week. And don't forget, we'll continue to air pieces of that interview. We heard a little bit of it with Tracy Kendall Wilson earlier in the show. We will continue airing those on future editions of the program. So set a reminder, same time, same station, talking all things retirement. So, Tim, I know there's been a lot of talk in the news cycle lately about these new Trump retirement accounts, but for many, these details can be a bit confusing. I'm raising my hand. I've got 2 kids. I don't really fully understand them. So let's help our listeners separate fact versus fiction, clear up some of these mixed messages. What exactly are these Trump retirement accounts, and what are people getting wrong when they sit down and try to discuss these accounts with you?
Well, yeah, people have a really completely misunderstanding of what these things are. So basically, I'm going to give you a real quick snapshot of what they are, and then 3 things people really need to know about them. So basically what happened on April 30th of this year, 2026, President Trump signed an executive order. Basically, it was called the Retirement Savings Access for American Workers. So essentially, they established a quote-unquote Trump IRA, and it's to promote retirement savings for American workers. Now, here's the number one thing that you need to know. There is no such thing yet as a Trump IRA. The executive order did not create a new tax advantage savings account for retirees. The president can't do that. In fact, the only people that can do that is Congress. Congress can change the tax code. They could create a new savings vehicle. The president can, and what he did was establish a website. So there's going to be a website where people can get on and do that. So it's going to be trumpira.gov, and the executive order calls for that website to be established by January 1st of next year, 2027. So that's when it's technically going to go into effect, is 2027, and the only thing he really did was establish a website, trumpira.gov. Now, number two thing you need to know is this new website, again, trumpira.gov, will promote what's called the Savers Match. Now, that's not a newly created initiative. It's not anything new. It was already in the works. It was enacted back in 2022 as part of the Secure 2.0 Act. Y'all heard me talk about that years ago if you've been a listener for a long time. If not, just Google the Secure 2.0 Act, and you will see that it actually is already effective starting in 2027. So it's not a new thing. Trump's just kind of, attaching and making a website to kind of promote it, so to speak. The Savers Match is going to replace the current Savers Credit and will provide a federal matching contribution of 50% on the first $2,000 of annual retirement contributions, so up to $1,000 annual, for eligible lower income savers. This match is deposited directly into a 401k, 403b, or IRA. For single filers, the modified adjusted gross income, their MAGI, that you have on your tax return. The phase-out range is between $20,500 and $35,500. For those that are married, it goes up to $41,000 to $71,000. Unlike the current Savers Credit, the Savers Match is available even for eligible savers who don't owe federal income tax. So it is kind of a cool program. It says that the executive order says that the new website will list financial institutions that offer IRAs that will accept the Savers Match and meet other certain criteria to enhance retirement savings. The website's going to allow you to filter and select IRAs based on their cost and quality and all kinds of stuff. So that's the second thing. The third thing is the new order has nothing to do with Trump accounts. Trump accounts are tax-deferred investment vehicles for children under 18 created under that, y'all heard us talk about this, the One Big Beautiful Act back in 2025 last year. Kevin and I did several shows about it and what all it included. That started there. So contributions to these new investments accounts are scheduled to be available on July 4th of this year. So folks, they're not even available yet. So if you're doing this, you could actually be jumping the gun because that's not even available until July 4th of 2026. More guidance is expected to be released soon to explain exactly how these accounts are going to work, but the executive order does not do this. Another factor that people need to consider that make things even more confusing is that while a Trump account is subject to special rules until the year the child turns 18, at that point, it becomes a traditional IRA, subject to all the normal IRA rules. So while the account does change from being a Trump account to a regular traditional IRA account, there never is a point where it is a quote-unquote Trump IRA. So it is a little confusing, but those are the things you need to keep in mind. Is technically all he did was establish trumpira.org. It really doesn't go into effect until this July. At the end of the time, once the kid turns 18, it just turns into a traditional IRA. And people can't get money out of a traditional IRA until they're 59 and a half without paying a penalty. So it's great to have that, but it's not like you're doing something and then they're going to get this big payout at 18. If they do, 10% of that's going to be kept as a penalty for getting it early. So there's a lot of things to think about these Trump accounts.
So really, Tim, when you're hearing about these things, I mean, I've heard some folks say that, these accounts, they might not stack up against other options. I know one thing that some of our listeners may have heard about is 529s, right? And you talk about college savings plans. So I know this is still a relatively new thing, but there are folks out there who say, well, but is this the right decision for my family? And like we know, we talk about these things all the time on the show. Everybody's situation completely different. So if folks want more clarity on how these things work, and more importantly, how they stack up with other options, look no further than you and the team at Safe Money Retirement, right?
And again, I hate to keep beating dead horses every single week, but that's why we do a thorough fact finder with every single client.
Yeah.
Because there may be situations where these new plans are great. These new saver plans for kids under 18, that's fantastic. But again, you need to know what you're doing is you're putting money into a plan that they're going to access once they are at retirement. Mm-hmm. These are retirement plans that you're starting for a child.
All right.
Which, okay, that's great if that's what you want to do and that's the plan. And hey, I want to get them a nice little nest egg that can just grow for the next, 40, 50 years. If that's your goal, rock and roll. That's great. Okay. But if you're just putting something in and you're wanting them to be able to use it right away, not so much. We might want to look at something else. Again, like you said, it depends on the individual situation. In some cases, it's going to be fantastic. In some cases, it doesn't make any sense at all. So, yeah, something that we need to look on an individual basis. And what's the goal? Anyone that works with me hears me use the phrase purpose of money. Okay, we're going to put this purpose towards little Jimmy. That's great. What's the purpose of this? Are you wanting little Jimmy to be able to get this when he's 18? Mm-hmm. Are you wanting this to be something for when little Jimmy is at retirement and you're long gone? I mean, what's the goal of this? What's the purpose? Then we can figure out whether it's this or it's something else that's going to be the best thing.
Well, it all starts with one phone call to Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement. If you'd like to learn more about the Trump retirement accounts and how they may or may not fit into your long-term financial plan, folks, keep this phone number handy. 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233. Online anytime at safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. All right, so Tim, next weekend is Father's Day. I bring it up because comedian Ali Sadiq, well, he definitely has quite the opinion when it comes to the upcoming holiday.
Father's Day is the worst holiday in the world. I've done the research. I already know. Let me tell you something. Mother's Day is the second most celebrated holiday in the world. Christmas is first. You know what Father's Day fall at? Number 20. I can't think of 18 other holidays. Do you realize Halloween is number 6? That means ghosts and goblins go before fathers? Arbor Day is number 13. I don't even know what that is. I just know it come before me. That's crazy.
Real theme in that, Tim. Basically, some things just don't get prioritized. Case in point, only 27% of Americans, according to a recent survey, are using financial advisors. So, Tim, why do we think retirement planning still doesn't get the respect it deserves? And more importantly, how do you help it put it front and center for all of our listeners?
I think it kind of goes back to that question that we answered at the beginning of this show, that listener question, the conscious versus unconscious.
Yeah.
And 27%, only 27% are using a financial advisor. Imagine there's even a much smaller percentage of that are using an advisor like me that specializes in retirement planning. Mm-hmm. Because most financial advisors, quote unquote, don't specialize in retirement planning. They specialize in growing your money as much as possible.
Right.
Which that's great. Again, you've heard Kevin and I talk about it during the acquisition phase. That's exactly what you want. Let's grow. But then once you've got this big wad of money, by the time you get to retirement, now what are you going to do with it? What's the wisest way? How do we make sure that you don't run out? How do we make sure you're set for inflation? How do we make sure you're set for potential Social Security cuts, potential Medicare hikes? There's a bunch of things that we have to look at. So I think there's so many people that are still living under the assumption that they can just withdraw 4% every single year and it's going to be fine. Mm-hmm. And again, when that came out, William Bengen was the one that developed the 4% rule in the late 80s. And back then, yes, it did work. You could go all the way back and it worked fine. But if you do the calculations now, and there's actually a thing from Dr. Wade Fowle on my website under the media tab, anyone can read. He did the calculations now. You really would have to be closer to 2 to 2.5% to make sure you're going to make it. Now, why would someone want to be in a plan, an IFCOM plan, and only be able to pull out 2 to 2.5% and hope they make it, when we've got guaranteed lifetime income plans that are paying upwards of 5, 6, sometimes even higher than that percent on a guaranteed basis that you can't outlive? So why? I really don't know. I mean, I think that there's people that are still just, I'll tell you what, I think it's a lot of people didn't have the training, no one explained to them, all their parents did, all my parents did. All my wife's parents did was save as much as they possibly could and then pray it was going to last.
Right.
And I think there's so many people, brother, that's what they're doing. They're just praying to God that we're going to make it. We've saved up this much. Boy, I sure hope with social and that we're going to make it. Okay. I think, unfortunately, there's so many people doing that, and that is a dangerous place to be, relying on, number one, relying on the government programs. That's, but number two, just hoping that the market doesn't crash, because if you're just pulling out, even if you're pulling out 4%, what are you going to do if the major correction comes and the market goes down, whatever percentage, you name it, 20, 50, whatever percent, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
For those of you that have read my book, Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success. For those of you that have read my book, my dad lost 75% of his retirement in the first 4 years. And that's why. That's what he was doing, people. That's exactly what he was doing. And he had to go back to work for almost a decade. So I think that's it. I think people are just thinking, oh, it's going to be fine. And this is what my mom and dad did. And everybody I know, this is what they did. So this is what I'm going to do. Doesn't mean it's the best plan for you. Again, we need to sit down and figure out what's going to be best for you.
And of course, if you'd like to start that conversation today, all you need to do is keep this phone number handy, folks. 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233, or online anytime. It's safemoneyretirement.com. Again, folks, that website is safemoneyretirement.com. Well, Tim, this time has zipped right on by like it tends to do on the program every week. And before we are out of time, sir, the floor is all yours for the final word.
Thanks, Kevin. Great show as always. Hope everyone enjoyed it. We covered a bunch of really important things. Like Kevin said, there's going to be plenty more coming from Tracy from the Alzheimer's Tennessee. There's going to actually be multiple shows because it was a long interview. Again, if you want to hear the whole thing, see the whole thing, go to YouTube and you can actually see us doing the video because we do a video podcast and it's on the website or on the YouTube. So YouTube at Safe Money Retirement. Talked about several things. So that was important. The viewer question was important, making sure you've got a conscious retirement. I want to just real quick, though, talk about the Trump IRA accounts. Don't let the fake news freak you out or think something's better than it is. Sit down with a certified financial fiduciary. People, it doesn't have to be me. It's okay if it's not me. Sit down with a certified financial fiduciary that's going to have your best interest at heart, and let's figure out, is the Trump IRA thing the best thing for your kid? If it is, great. If it's not, then let's not do that. You need to sit down with someone, no matter what we're doing, no matter what part of your life you're looking at, you need to sit down with an expert and make sure you're doing the right thing so that way you can have your own safe money retirement.
The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Obviously, by contacting us now, you are only taking the first step towards protecting your retirement. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified, licensed insurance professional. It is important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Interest and other guarantees in annuity contracts are subject to the claims-paying ability of the insurance carrier that issued the contract. The tax consequences of annuity income should be considered with the help of a licensed tax professional. Rates and returns mentioned on this program may vary based on state availability and are subject to change without notice.